in the microwave for you?
Yeah, that's fine. Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 360 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing TKOG. And today I have a really fun deck for you guys. And this is actually not, I don't even think that it's considered to be tier 3. This art deck that I'm talking about is obviously Spriggans, because it's going to be in the title. But yeah, this deck, I've had so much trouble playing this deck. You guys have no idea. I've actually been testing Spriggans since before their new support came. But then I got more dedicated and interested when their new continuous trap came out and Brothers and Merrymaker came out. Then I felt like, wow, this deck has systematic follow-ups that you can actually set up every turn and you can just generate advantage. So some decks are about maintaining advantage. Some decks are really good at gaining advantage. Like Strikers can like gain a lot of advantage, right? Like a deck like Shaddolls can maintain and gain advantage at the same time. This deck can maintain and gain advantage at the same time, which is a really big deal. One of the issues that I had with this deck was like, what do you really do with the cards, right? Like it gives you these resources and it doesn't really do anything to your opponent. And then I started to put bits and pieces together. Now, I'm not the master of Spriggans by any way, shape, or form. I feel like I still need a lot more experience with this deck, playtesting it. Because I just recently figured a lot of it out. Like, I just recently broke the mold on it. It was about 2 weeks ago. And I had been testing the deck for, I think, almost 3 months. Like, strenuously beforehand. I was just getting the pieces to it and researching. And I'm just going to be honest. I really didn't like anybody's list that I saw. So I didn't really find any good ideas. I knew I was going to play the Dogmatica cards because they have, like, their own version of Titaniclad. So I was like, that's a no-brainer. Like, you can make the Dogmatica cards, turn both of your engines on and start both of them at the same time. But I just needed to find a way to get this deck to be able to interact more with the opponent and to still be able to break boards going second. And I wanted my engine to be able to play through disruptions. I just wanted it, even though it doesn't seem like a good deck. And then truth be told, it's really hard to play. And that's what makes it look like it's not a good deck, because it's not really like other decks. It's like, this is the most unique, not the most, but one of the most unique decks I've played. There's like nothing that I can really compare this to, because it's such a weird deck. So I figured out how to make it function properly and gave it a way higher ceiling. I made probably the most consistent Spriggans list you will ever see. And also, you guys are going to see in my duel videos, me absolutely cutting up. I went undefeated with this deck, and I was actually surprised. I just wanted to take it to locals to test it against meta decks. I 2-0'd Virtual Worlds, I 2-0'd Blue Eyes. I know there's a hype behind Blue Eyes. Whenever Blue Eyes gets new support, people want to play it. I also played against Dogmatica Spellbooks. I actually got a draw against that guy, but I didn't lose against him. We drew because he was just taking way too long. And you're going to see in the video when I upload it. And then I played against Amazement Trap Tricks. That deck, post-bold, is actually going to be insane. King of the Sky Prison, and the fact that that deck can make Gallant Granite and search that card, it's just going to be on a whole nother level. I actually might start playing Trap Tricks Amazement myself. That deck's pretty nuts. But yeah. So those are the decks I played against. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a dislike if you didn't. My feelings really aren't hurt. And also, if you are sub, make sure you click the notification bell. And if you want to support me in any way, shape, or form, highly recommend becoming a member of my Patreon. I give back to those to give to me. I don't just do like exclusive uploads like you get to see my videos early. I actually put in work into my Patreon, and I give back to those who give to me. And you can also just join my Discord or subscribe. Those things are absolutely free. Let's get into it, you guys. Lots to talk about because this deck, I did the best I can. So this is Spriggans Dogmatica Scrap Dinosaurs. You guys are about to see some true sauce. I did the best that I could to make this deck competitive, and you guys are going to see. So we have, for starter cards, 3 copies of Prosperity. We also have 3 copies of Nadir Servant. I'm going to definitely explain a bit more once I get my starters out. There's a lot of starters, and what's cool is the unique thing about this deck too is a lot of its starters can be extenders. Like the Field Spell actually is an extender. When my Scrap Engine gets Ashed or Imperm, I can summon Merrymaker, dump a Bronga, and then link it to Scrap Wyvern, and then I can get my Dino combo because I already have a Bronga dumped off of Merrymaker, which is a really big deal because Merrymaker hits the grave because I made Wyvern, which means Bronga can search my Interluder, and I can just make more plays. It's really cool. A lot of stuff that I can do. And so we have 3 Watch, 3 copies of Booty. Anything that searches a field spell in this deck is a starter because the field spell is a really big deal. With Merrymaker, now the field spell is actually a starter for your engine. And on top of that, it's how you maintain your resources. So you can gain a lot of advantage, maintain the advantage, and also this field spell actually breaks boards going second. And you can make ginormous Zeuses. I'm talking about like, how many materials on a Zeus? I mean, I was playing the Vespinato before, but I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can make a 6. You can get a 6 material Zeus in this deck. You can make a 6 material Zeus. So it's like Zodiacs, because like a lot of your Spriggans, that's why if you guys heard me counting, it's because I was counting all the different names for Spriggans. Now, I've never made a 6 material Zeus. I've never done that, but you can. I've just never had every name in my grave ever before. I think I've had almost all of them, but not all of them. And that's another unique thing that we're going to talk about in this deck. So this is not all the starters. Even though this is a really, really healthy amount of starters, this is just about, what, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16 starters. I have a ton more. I mean a ton more. So we're also playing 3 Fossil Digs. So once I've laid my starters out, I will definitely tell you guys what's going on and how these interact and how these allow you to actually play through hand traps, which is really, really cool because I did not actually lose to any hand traps yesterday. I didn't have to play through a ton. Like, I didn't play against Tri-Brigade. I feel like if I played against Tri-Brigade, I would have been up against way more hand traps, but I definitely played through my fair share of back row in the Trap Tricks deck. And I literally systematically pretty much took out all of his trap cards. The problem was that I couldn't kill his Arlecchino, which was the Amazement boss monster. And because of that, on this follow-up, he was able to just break my board with that. I only had enough resources to bait the traps, but I couldn't break the board, which kind of was unfortunate. So that's how I ended up losing game 1. And then I won game 2, and I won game 3 right after that. So yeah, the deck's pretty good at grinding through trap cards. More notably, because your field spell can summon out this bad boy, your Spriggans Explorer. This card's actually pretty nuts. He targets the zone and then its adjacent zones, and he can do a T-shaped destruction. You have to detach like 3 cards if you want to get like that full skadoosh, but it's pretty crazy against trap cards because you can hit their monster and then 2 back rows, or you can hit a back row in the adjacent zones. Adjacent is like, it's really cool. So we have the scrap cards, and then we also have Ecclesias. I'm playing 3 Ecclesias. Really important opener because more often than not, sorry you guys, a lot of the times you have an extra deck monster in your grave just because of how this deck combos. So if you open Ecclesia, you just search the Maximus, and you get access to Winda. And if you had one of your Spriggans XCs, you can just dump Spring and then summon out Captain Sargus and get yourself a Dryden. And it's a really, really good disruption. It's very, very good. Like, this deck's archetype itself, you can set up Dweller, Captain Sargus, and Merrymaker. On your opponent's turn, you can get follow-ups off Merrymaker with Sargus, and you can also search Interluder if you were able to dump Spranga. So ideally, you can set up 1, 2, 3 interruptions just off your Spriggans cards with a really good follow-up, because you can dump a fusion that lists Albaz, which is a really big deal. So that's what the Spriggans cards can do by themselves. But there are a couple interruptions that people are going to overlook that is a big deal, which is going to be Booty and the field spell if you have them. I honestly, now that we're pretty much finished with the starters, I'm going to talk about it. So Foolish is another starter because the Spriggans actually have grave effects, and Bronga specifically search your archetype. Then I played the Dino Engine. I was actually thinking about 2 ECTs, 2 Qualis, and 2 Pill, but I knew that would lead to brick hands. Qualis is not as bad to draw because when you resolve your Nadir or Maximus or anything that dumps Op Cologne, you can search your Schism, then discard Qualis. That happened against the Dogmatica Spellbook deck. He resolved Maximus on me, and I dumped my Titanic Lad and my Op Cologne. And I actually had hard-drawn Qualis, and so I was able to search my Pill and summon UCT, but he did Impermanent, and then he did something else to it. I think he Spellbook faded it. But yeah, you guys, so this is like all the starters here, and the Dino Engine is like a really big deal. So you guys are probably going to say, oh, this is pretty bricky, I wouldn't want to play that. Well, you definitely want to give it a try. The Scrap Engine is actually really insane in this deck, right? So I'm going to talk about the dinos, and I'm going to move up because there's just so much cool stuff with this deck that makes it so fun. It's not just the archetype itself, it's how I built this deck. I made it fun for myself. Like, I built this way on purpose so that I can enjoy it, because I just felt like banishing Merrymakers and you know, using Interluder to negate cards is cool, and Captain Brongus popping is cool, and summoning Zeus here and there is cool, but I wanted my deck to do more. I just felt like this archetype just is lacking in the disruption department, so I put a lot of effort into making the deck a lot more competitive. And the Dino cards are a big deal because this deck lacks in OTK potential. So the scrap cards help you with that, and the Dinos. And if you guys are wondering how we get access to the Dinos with just these, your scrap combo actually summons Curios, which is a really big deal. So let's get into these starters now, because you guys are going to see what's happening. So Prosperity can search virtually any card in your deck. It's a no-brainer. So I felt like this was a really good going first and a really good going second card. A lot of decks that can play this should be playing it. And if you can't afford it, I totally understand. No, there's no budget alternative to Prosperity. Desires is not the same as Prosperity. And plus, I have way too many one-ups that I don't want to banish in the first place. So Desires is out of question for this particular list. So no budget alternatives. Nadir's been reprinted, so thank God it's a little bit cheaper for you now. So Nadir Servant is a starter for both your engines. This is one of the best cards to open. You can dump a Sprint and search an Ecclesia. Sometimes, this is something that I have wanted to do. I wanted to play Gravity Controller because sometimes you can summon Merrymaker in your extra monster zone and it will get ashed because it says send from deck to grave, and people don't know what this deck does, so they think that's a good time to ash. And it is sometimes, I'm not going to lie. But then, if you just open an Ecclesia, you can just summon, search Maximus, and banish the Merrymaker and play like that. And other times when you have Nadir, you can dump Sprint, and you won't have to worry about banishing the Sprint. You can banish something else off Maximus, then use Maximus to dump Titaniclad, and also the Op Clone. Then you get your Shadal engine, your Spriggans engine, and your Dogmatica engine all at once. So you get In-Face, summon Captain Sargus, In-Face, search Fleur de Lis, or summon Ecclesia, search Fleur de Lis. That way you have more field presence. And you have Winda, which means you win the duel automatically more often than not. It's really, really cool. So yeah, Nadir is insane in this deck. And it's just one of the best recovery cards as well. There's just so much that you can get off of this card. It's one of the best cards in the game. Spriggans Watch is also kind of like Nadir Servant in this deck. It could search your field spell, which this and Booty and Terraforming search the field spell. You would think that it's overkill, but it's not. The field spell is one of the best cards in the deck. So Watch, if you have the field spell up, it has a second effect that makes it a Rhoda and a Foolish Burial at the same time. That's really, really bonkers. This card enables so many different combos. If I was playing more of a pure Spriggans build, I would be going more for Ring 4 routes. I would be going for Utopic Future, summoning Gear Gigant Giant X, and just extending with that. And it's just really, really cool. You can also summon Gallant Granite and search King of the Sky Prison in this deck. I mean, there's just so much you can do with Spriggans because they can generically summon XYZs without even, you know, doing like the one card XYZ at the field spell. You could still actually hard summon your XYZs. So this card's nuts, but more often than not, I just go for more advantage over it. So what I do is I just set up follow-up. So I will literally like dump 2 Brongas in my first turn combo. So like I'll dump a Bronga off this, I'll dump a Bronga off my scrap combo. So I'll use 1 Bronga and I'll always have another one for my next turn. So I just plan ahead more with this card, but you can do a lot with this card. It's really, really crazy. There's so many cool combos you can do with Spriggans Watch. And then Booty. So this card searches your field spell, it just activates it, and then also what's on the field. If one of your XYZs lead by a card effect, which they always do their effect or Spriggans Interluder, you get to pretty much target a monster on the field and Shadal Genius it, right? So what it does is it doesn't negate its effect, it makes it unable to activate its effects that turn. So it's really, really cool. And this in tandem with the field spell, you can get some soft negations, some chump blocking, and play defensively. I'm not going to lie, yesterday, I did not use my field spell effect. There was so much that was going on, I totally forgot about using my field spell effect. I think every single duel, and I got mad at myself after that. And then that's when I realized, again, it just goes to show, like I said, this is not an easy deck to play because there's so much that you have to pay attention to. And you already have to maintain so much with your resource management and also planning ahead, like, because every time you use a disruption, you have to try your best to make sure that that disruption can carry over to your next turn. So that's why the Spriggan disruptions and the Dogmatica disruptions are so good, because they can give you follow-ups and interact with your opponent at the same time. And so a lot of the times I was forgetting about the field spell, but in playtesting I don't. And the field spell's other effect is it can make a monster unable to attack. So you can kinda it, Sky Striker kinda. So Booty in tandem with the field spell, when you're using your Merrymaker just to tag out, you can actually get 2 extra disruptions without even like literally activating, you know, anything crazy. So it's really, really cool. You can get your Sargus pops, you can get like a chunk block, you can get a negation, you can get interluder negation, you can get follow-ups. It's really, really cool. The Spriggan cards are a big deal in this deck. Next up, the scrap cards. These are 100% a necessity in my opinion. You don't have to agree with my opinion. I'm not trying to make you agree. I'm definitely telling you right now, I feel these are a necessity. These not only raise the ceiling, but these are actual starter cards that give you more consistency to your deck, and also they give you a higher OTK potential to close the game out because they give you critical mass. And so, what you do with your scrap combo, and I have to play Phoenix so that Rosenix so that I can make this a 1-card combo. Otherwise, I'd always have to open like my field spell. And that goes to another thing, like when this gets ashed or impermed or veilered, anything that doesn't negate and destroy it, I can activate field spell, summon Merrymaker, dump a Bronga, link this and the Merrymaker into Scrap Wyvern, and I can still summon back my Merrymaker by dumping a Brothers anyways. And then I can just dump my Dinos also, which is really, really cool. It's a big deal. Because when you bring this back off of Scrap Golem, you can dump out your Brothers and then bring back your Merrymaker. And then you link all those into Curios, and then you dump Quadless and get UCT off of your pill. Which is really, really huge. It's a big deal. And then you could just attach your materials to your Merrymaker, or you can banish a couple for Bronga, search your Interluder so you can get an Omni Negate on top of that. So yeah, these let you play through more hand traps and also give you more consistency because this is a 1-card combo that dumps 2 machines. So if you didn't open anything good, worst case scenario, you can just dump a Bronga and dump a target for Bronga to banish and then search out Booty. Especially if you open Spriggans Watch. So if you open Watch plus Recycler, it's a 2-card combo. You can search Booty, and then activate Booty, put the field spell up, and then activate Watch with the field spell up, and it's pretty big. It's a really big deal. You can get so much advantage, and you can set up a really, really nice board. You can get Appaloosa and just Trident pop. It's just really, really cool. So the scrap cards are a big deal. They do a lot for the deck, and honestly, I don't see myself playing without them because I was going to play other normal summons. I mean, there's other normal summons you can play, but I think these are the best normal summons for this deck in particular. So you can see these are all starter cards, and a lot of them can be used as extenders. And then the last 5 starters are the Ecclesias, the Maximus, and the Foolish. Foolish has a lot of utility. You can dump Rosenix as an extender, you can dump Quad, you can dump Spriggans Bronga, you can just dump any Spriggans. You can also dump Brothers from the deck and then triggers effect. So Foolish is a really, really good card in this deck. So a lot of your engine can do a lot. But the main issue that I had in the past was just trying to make boards that do stuff to my opponent. And I succeeded because if you guys saw the post, my best board that I made was UCT, Interluder, Schism, Appaloosa with the Dryden Pop. So you had the Dryden Pop, the Omni Negate, the UCT Book of Eclipse, the Appaloosa Monster Negate, and you had Shaddoll Schism, and you have Follow-Up. That is like a 7 interruption board that is way too difficult to break. I mean, you've got pretty much a negate for Dark Ruler or Droplets in the continuous trap. You've got Schism. The only thing that would have made it more cray-cray was if I had Punishment, and that would have just been like nail in the coffin. But yeah, this deck, just because it doesn't look like a competitive deck from the perspective of it being a Spriggans archetype, doesn't mean it's not going to make boards that actually make you pee your pants. So now we're going to go into the Spriggans cards. So you have 3 Brongas, we have 3 Pedors, and I will say, this deck can also hard summon Dweller, which is another big deal. Any deck that can make Dweller, you should definitely play Dweller in that deck. So we have 3 Bronga, 3 Pedor. I only played 2 Brothers, 2 Rocky, and then 1 Captain Sargus. This is totally different ratio-wise. So the thing was, I felt like a lot of the Spriggans cards didn't really do much by themselves. With the field spell, they can do a lot more, but if you don't have anything engraved, there's not much that Rocky or Brothers or Pedor can do. These all work off of the grave. And then Bronga only can search if you have another Spriggans monster in your grave. So a lot of the times, what these do is just put themselves under your XYZ as materials, utilize them that way, and then get them engraved. Sargus is a big deal. It's like the main disruption you get on your opponent's turn. I only play 1 because it's extremely searchable and recyclable, and I don't like drawing this card. This card doesn't really do anything. Out of all the Spriggans, this one does the least on your turn. It only works also during your opponent's turn. Rocky is actually my favorite one because I'm just big on follow-ups, right? This guy is like your Dante, and Pedor is like your Seer. So you can actually loop these. You can go Rocky for Brothers, pitch Brothers, off of the off of the field spell summon, and then bring back Pedor, and then use Pedor to bring back Captain Sargus. And then the other cool thing is, if you didn't need to make that play, you can just simply summon Rocky, and then use his effect to add back Brothers, right? And then you have Brothers every turn to discard for your field spell if you want to use it, because Interluder returns them to the extra deck, so you don't control them, so you can summon back from the field spell. Then you just pitch this, and then you bring back, you summon your Merrymaker, or whatever you need to summon. Then you bring back Rocky and use Rocky to add this back, so that every turn you have like this Dante Sir loop. So these guys are like Sir. I think this is like a better Sir because it doesn't require a normal summon, but Pedor's still really, really good to open. That's why I played 3. Because this is also one of the main reasons why you can make rank 4s off of the watch. Because you just have a rank, you have a level 4, you pitch the Brothers, and then you summon this guy back, and you have a normal summon to use his effect to target, add, and then you just normal summon, and then you make your rank 4. Because Dweller just wins games by itself. So like I definitely wanted to be able to make Dweller to secure games. And all of these guys can attach themselves to a Spriggan as a material. So that's how you get more pops off Explorer. That's how Merrymaker becomes a really, really big follow-up. That's how you make big Zeuses, and then you get materials for Captain Sargus. So that is the Spriggan portion. And then my defensive cards. I'm not going to say hand traps suck, but I'm going to say you're probably going to need to run 12 to 15. And then you're going to be playing around Crossouts and Talents and also Called By. So I just think that these cards are better. Dark Roller Droplets. They answer entire boards by themselves. And it was 3 talents, but I was actually borrowing a talents from my homeboy Garen. Shout outs to him. I'm borrowing these also from my homeboy Valente. Shout outs to him. But I was playing 3 talents yesterday. These were my defensive cards of choice. I didn't really feel like I needed much, and I was correct. My list actually was pretty good. I was able to break boards just with Engine, which is really, really good. Not the Drytron board, of course, but definitely the Tri-Brigade board can be broken with just Engine, as well as the Virtual World board, which is really, really cool. It's just amazing. And it also depends if they're going Kaliga or Dragoon. That's another big deal. Because if they're going Dragoon, it's a lot easier to break it with just Engine. Cards you don't want to draw are these right here. And then my trap cards are pretty insane. These, you can actually get access to every single one of these. -1. You have to hard draw one of the Spriggans traps, but you can get access to all 3 of these in the same turn. And these make your board so much less susceptible to Dark Roller and Droplets. And things like talents, because you can have disruption in your back row. Then you can still have Appaloosa, UCT, Dryden, which is really huge. So you have like 2 to 3 negates off Op, and then you have your Dryden pop, you have your UCT Book of Eclipse, and then you have these in the back row. And it's just like, it's scoop worthy. It's so good. Like, the boards you make with this deck are so good, and you get so much follow-up, and your engine just continues to just kind of just rotate, and you constantly have like this funnel of cards coming back to you, and then cards that are hitting the field to disrupt your opponent, interacting their turn, and then returning back to you. The Merrymaker is so good, you guys. This is all you need right here. I really, really like Blast as an interruption, but I more often than not go for Interluder just to be safe, especially post-sighting. I don't want anything to happen to my board. Like, I don't want to lose to like evenly, because I don't set up any of... This is the only Omni Negate that the deck can set up. If I wanted to start playing Ready Fusion, I probably could make like Borlo Savage, which would be cool. Extra deck is... Let me check. Timer real quick. Okay. Extra deck is Scrap Wyvern, Curios for the combo, and then... I didn't make this at all yesterday. I actually chose Captain Sargus over this every time. The reason being is because a lot of my disruptions are soft in the sense that they don't remove threats. Like UCT doesn't even remove the threats on my opponent's turn. So like Blast doesn't remove the threats, Interluder is a soft negate, Appaloosa is a soft negate. All my stuff negates cards and does stuff, but I can't get anything off the field. And I feel that, in my opinion, also in my personal experience, playing through negates that don't remove the cards from the field are a lot easier to play through, because you still have those bodies to convert into cards like Verte, Anaconda, Appaloosa, Boarsword, Access Code, the Nightmare package. You know, it's a really big deal, and because I'm more experienced in that regard, knowing that those disruptions aren't as good, I more often than not actually choose Captain Sargus over Appaloosa. If I can't get both, I always choose Captain Sargus, and that's what happened yesterday. I didn't summon Appaloosa at all. I just chose Captain Sargus because I felt a Trident was just better than 2 soft monster negates. And I know it sounds crazy, but I just needed something that gets rid of cards. So Captain Sargus and Punishment are my only ways of keeping cards off of the field, which is really important, you guys. Like, competitively speaking, you have to understand certain decks play through disruptions better when you're not killing their cards. So just trust me on it. The Spriggans, I'm just playing 2 Merrymaker, 1 Explorer. I felt like this is all you need. More copies of any of them did not come up. I can recycle them off of Interluder and also off of Siphon Little Omega, and they could just tag themselves out, which is really cool. This card is insane going second. It's a really big deal. If it was a quick effect, this deck would be a lot better. It wouldn't be tier 0 or anything. Mirror Maker is the main card I make all the time, but I summon this against trap decks. I summon this when, like, if you Dark Roller your opponent and then summon this and break the whole board and then go for a Zeus, that's a really, really good play. It's really good. I don't like going to Zeus all the time, but you'd have to sometimes, even though it risks getting rid of your field spell, which is your follow-up, which is really, you know, unfortunate. So yeah, this is all I really needed. This card's cracked. You can dump fusions that list Albaz, you can dump Titaniclad and then Spring to get more follow-up, turn your engine on for the next turn. It makes ulti Kane easier. If you dump Titaniclad and go Ecclesia for Flatter Lee, it's a really big deal, so I like it a lot. And then Dweller. You really should play Dweller. You don't need the scraps to make this, so your engine can do this by itself. You have to play Dweller, I feel. It's just way too good to not play. It wins so many games. And then Zeus, this deck can make really big Zeuses. You can play more Zeus. You can make this a Zeus style deck if you want to. If this were not scrap Spriggans, and I like didn't have Dogmaticas or anything, I would definitely play like 2 or 3 Zeuses, and I'd play Drill, Kill Driver, Vespinato just to get more materials on the Zeus. And then I would be playing Utopic Draco Future because you can make it on your first turn. But my other packages kind of just give me better boards, better disruptions. So these are my Dogmatica targets right here. Op Cologne, the Shadal package. These two, I wish I could play more, but Omega makes it to where I can get away with playing one of each. And then Elder. So the extra deck's really, really tight. More notably, it's tight because I've decided to play the Shadal package. But I honestly win so many games off of it. It's just too good. And this deck doesn't have an actual win condition. You have like Dweller and Winda. These are the only cards that like kind of say you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Other than that, the deck I just felt was way too fair. And I know, you know, it's not pure Spriggans. It's not what you dreamed of. But honestly, this is like one of the best ways to go with this deck. This is one of the best routes to take playing this deck. You guys definitely let me know in the comment section below what your take is or how you feel, but I definitely feel like this right here, this is my best list of Spriggans. This is the list I went undefeated with. I'm very happy with my results. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. Y'all be safe and peace.